The presidents of Harvard, UPenn, and MIT testifying on Capitol Hill yesterday, defending their on-campus policies combating hate. Harvard's president was asked about pro-Palestinian demonstrators calling for intifada on her campus.
Can you not say here that it is against the code of conduct at Harvard?
We embrace a commitment to free expression, even of views that are objectionable, offensive, hateful. It's when that speech crosses into conduct that violates our policies.
Joining us on set to talk about the rise in anti-Semitism on campus and across the country is Robert Kraft. He is the chairman and the CEO of the Kraft Group and the founder of the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism. Also, Josh Rales, who is the president of the Norman and Ruth Rales Foundation. They are working together to try and get at this issue of what's happening on campus. And, gentlemen, what we just heard is pretty shocking. There have been many other comments that came out of yesterday, but the idea that it's not violating anyone's speech until it actually causes someone to act on it, meaning till someone's killed, till someone's hurt pretty drastically. What do you make of this, Robert?
Well, leadership is doing the right thing. And you can have lawyers around you and people advising you what's right to say, but people want to know that they got people leading them who want to do the right thing. I'll say this respectfully. I think the people leading the universities are really not trained to be operating people of a major institution, so they have to learn on the job, and they got staff around them. But when you have to make a payroll and you have to make decisions and you're in life, you do the right thing. This obviously was not something any of us were proud of, the way these answers came.
Josh, what did you think of it, and where do things stand on universities right now? Do Jewish students feel safe?
Well, you know, there's a time for moral clarity, and I think, unfortunately, the university presidents failed the test. When you ask somebody if their policies oppose calls for genocide of the Jewish people, and they say it requires context to answer it, there's just something wrong. Jewish students should be able to walk on campus with a Star of David or a kippah and not feel like they're going to be harassed or intimidated.
What do you think is driving this? And what do you think, when you watch that, what do you think is even driving her own view of this? Meaning, do you say to yourself, okay, there's genuine anti-Semitism taking place, not just among some of the students that are protesting, but among the leadership of these institutions, and that they have a particular view? Do you think it's a view around freedom of speech that's just so broad, which obviously it would be hypocritical in some sense because there's other elements of the freedom of speech issue that isn't so free? What do you think? Where do you think this comes from?
Yeah, it's sad. You know, what we've realized, and we've done a lot of research, and first of all, I think the role of social media in America today is horrible. To see the young people on campuses glorifying the actions of Hamas, which is creating atrocities, you know, cutting children's head off in front of mothers, or raping daughters, and whose policies call not just for the eradication of Israel, but for the eradication of all Jewish people in the world and infidels. And you have young college kids standing up and praising that kind of grouping. Is just off. And we've realized they're getting a lot of false information, and it's coming from social media.
But that's the young people. I'm asking about the leadership of these institutions. Where do you think that this idea that some of this kind of speech is acceptable to them comes from?
I think they're in a bit of a bubble, and they've lost sight of our shared humanity in this country. I think most Americans don't feel this way. This is what's beautiful about Robert's campaign, is his ads, his message, the blue square, a symbol of unity, of, you know, fighting against Jewish hate and hate in general is really important.
We're just neglecting. The progressive left has lost their minds. I mean, if you can, as a professor, be fired for misgendering someone, and you'll defend your right to say from the river to the sea, you have lost your mind. And that's where a lot of this is coming from. It's seen as a oppressor versus oppressed, which plays into the entire woke zeitgeist that we've just allowed to take over college campuses for the past 5 years.
You're right.
I mean, why not talk about it? That's what it is. And where do you see the craziest comments coming from Tlaib and some of the progressive squad? She is the head. The congresswoman that made those comments a couple of days ago is the head of the Progressive Caucus.
Well,
I mean, you don't want to politicize things? How can you not politicize things when anti-Semitism almost seems to be a basic tenet of the woke progressive left today?
Well, you have faculty who have tenure who are leading some of this effort, and there's no accountability. I think the whole idea of tenure, there's got to be some responsibility with that too, and that has to be looked into. But it's so sad what's going on. This is the greatest country in the world.